I don't know about you guys, but I am so sick and tired of all the podcasts that are 10 steps to a better life, 7 steps to success. Stop giving out so much advice and tell more stories. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the Empowered People Podcast, where each and every week we're going to tell, share, and listen to stories that are meant to motivate us to action, to motivate us to movement. We believe that so much success, opportunity, education only comes when you're willing to get up and move. And as always, each and every Thursday, we're trying to not only tell our story as Empowered Electric, as the Empowered People, but highlight and shine the light on people in Kansas City that are making the place brighter, shiny, whatever. Just doing awesome things. Struggled with that, but going to keep on going. This week, dude, I'm a little fanboyed out. I promised him I would only do something stupid like 28 times, but Kemet the Phantom, a local Kansas City rapper, hip-hop artist, musician, all of the above, super fan. Thanks a ton for being here. Dude,
thanks for being here. I'm excited. It happened.
Yeah. If you don't already know, we met a little while ago via Instagram. Right?
It was, yeah, Instagram.
I mean, I'm just like always, I'm telling you guys, like that location tag where you can like look for local people. It's just, you got to do it. And then you were gracious enough to grab coffee at the roastery.
Absolutely.
And it went from there. So anyways, guys, for the people that don't know you, that aren't in Kansas City, that are listening, why don't you just start by maybe telling them a little about yourself?
Yeah. Am I supposed to look at the camera or just you?
Oh, you do whatever you want. You can look at me when you're talking to me.
Cool.
If you're talking to the audience, you can do whatever you want.
So I'm just going to talk to you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I am Kemet the Phantom. I consider myself an artist, a urbanist, and a developer. And, all those pillars are kind of, they have facets underneath them. But yeah, just been mostly known as a musician here in town in Kansas City. And as a rapper, music producer, vocalist, and also the frontman for the Fantastics.
Yeah. So, I mean, guys, if you haven't already, you need to stop the podcast, go to Apple Music or Spotify or whatever other streaming platform you have. The two CDs that I would recommend most, The Invisible Man and Best Dapper Alive. Quit Crying is literally the theme song of my life.
Anthem.
It is just phenomenal. It's the thing I repeat to Matt over and over and over again on a daily basis. But guys, you're going to want to listen to that. So, hey man, before Kemet the Phantom existed, it was Kemet Coleman.
Yes.
Why don't you talk about the early days, childhood, family life, things like that?
Sure, yeah. Kemet Coleman was born in 1987 here in Kansas City, Missouri, and I'll quit talking in third person, but always was into music, and my brothers were a very big influence as far as music was concerned. They are 10 and 11 years older than me, my two brothers. And so they were into a lot of different hip hop. My eldest brother was born in New Orleans, and so he introduced me to a lot of like Southern hip hop music, and New Orleans music specifically, from just Nola Bounce music to Cash Money, No Limit, like all of those, Manny Fresh, like all of those guys from the 80s up into the 90s. And so my other brother was into both. He was more fascinated with the coasts, and so he liked both Tupac and Biggie. Tupac was his favorite rapper at the time, but so those two were big influences as well. But just growing up, listening to music with them, and that I probably wasn't supposed to be listening to. I grew up in a pretty Christian household. My mom was very conservative Baptist, or it still is. My dad at the time was a little bit more secular, trying to figure out where he fit spiritually up until about 1997, and then he started to gain more traction in Christianity and in the Methodist faith, where he kind of veered off for a while and then came back as an adult.
Do Methodists play music in their Sunday service? They do? Okay.
Well, I know. So my dad was in African and Methodist Episcopal Church, so AME Church, and he and the AME Church, they have lots of music for sure. It's good music.
Were you forced to? I mean, if he's the preacher, you're the preacher's kid. Are you singing a lot Sunday service?
So the funny part about that is he started going to a church called Allen Chapel on Benton Boulevard, and Kansas City, and really didn't have any leadership role there, but was really just, I think he just fell in love with the church, the people, and then they kind of respected him as a person. He was also a lawyer, and so speaking came naturally to him, and he was deeply spiritual at some point. He grew up in a very, very Christian household too, but as an adult just kind of deviated, but came back. And so eventually he got his own church in the AME church, but this church was like a maybe 100 square foot building in Butler, Missouri. Population, I don't know, 800, something like that. So there was no choir, really. There was just the members, and everybody all sang together.
So a couple things. That's a small town. I mean, not trying to ask a weird question, but like, were you one of the only black families, African-American families? I don't know how to ask that.
No, that's right. We definitely added to the black population every time we went. Well, we stayed in Kansas City. We never moved to Butler. We would drive every other Sunday.
That's a long drive.
Yeah, it's about an hour.
Okay.
About an hour.
An hour there and an hour back.
Exactly.
Yeah, so as a kid, you probably loved that.
No, not at all.
Yeah, isn't it funny now? So, I mean, I have 4 kids. You have three. You get like these minivans that are like movie theaters. They got drop down TV screens, video games.
Surround sound.
I'm like, we used to take car trips in like an old piece of crap F-150 truck with those seats in the back that would fold down on the sides.
Oh,
but there was like 3 of us. So like you couldn't sit. So you'd end up folding them up and just sitting awkwardly. And it's like, my kids whine now. And I'm just like, I'm that old guy going, kids, when I was your age,
seriously,
we had a coloring book and played the license plate game.
We just opened the window. We barely had that.
But so your brothers are 10, you said 10 and 11 years older than you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, by the time you're kind of coming to age,
they're out.
They're out.
Mm-hmm.
Did they ever kind of poke fun or like, oh, you think you're going to be a rapper?
No, not really, because I didn't really develop the affinity for like being a rapper until they were pretty much, I mean, they were in high school. They had their own stuff going on. They weren't really, concerned about their little brother that raps. So, and they were rapping too. They weren't like writing lyrics or anything, but they were kind of rapping along with songs and stuff like that.
So when did that start? When did you start writing and kind of doing music?
I started writing really when I was it was probably about 12 years old. I had a buddy who lived across the street, one of my best friends, who basically I forced him to be in a rap group with me. And I don't even remember the name of the rap group, but he didn't even know he rapped at the time. I just started writing lyrics for him and told him that he raps. And so we started like just rapping from there. But yeah, over the years, like up until that, like I was definitely like memorizing songs that my brothers would listen to, because I was the lookout when the speakers were too loud before my parents got home. So they were like, hey, go look out the window and make sure mom and dad don't come home. And so I just started memorizing the lyrics from there.
I that was one of my favorite pastimes, especially in high school, was just memorizing lyrics like Crazy Bone, trying to keep up with him.
Yeah, he was super fast.
Loved it. And it's like now, like you look it up on Apple Music and it's like a lyrics button, you hit it and like tells you all the lyrics. Like back in the day, I'd have to like rewind and listen.
Right, rewind,
and
stop.
like just keep doing that over and over again. But I don't know if I've ever told you this. I don't know if I've told anybody this. But in 5th grade, you're gonna be blown away.
Right here.
You're gonna be blown away. But in 5th grade, I was student council president, and one of the reasons was I made up this rap for Dare, and I still remember the lyrics. Do you guys want to hear them?
I want to hear it.
Yeah. So it was, don't do drugs, they ain't cool. You'll end up dead, floating in a pool, in a car wreck, or anything else. The only thing you're hurting is yourself.
Wow.
Yeah, those were deep, right?
That's some deep rhymes, man. Don't do drugs, kids.
Had a dance with it.
Oh, you had a dance too?
I had a dance. I ain't showing that. Don't remember that. But it was funny. I mean, it was just, I think, and one thing that attracts me to your music, as we, just keep talking about, is like the ability to talk about real things. And like, of course, that's a joke, and depending on whatever your thoughts are on it. But it's like being able to talk about pain or struggle or real life.
Yeah.
I just resonate so much with that from growing up in an extremely poor family and environment. It was like, I feel like even sometimes like that in the church, which I don't know if you would agree or disagree, but like you can just kind of paint the world in this rose-colored glasses where it's like, no, man, like things are hard, things are struggling, things are real. And like being able to communicate that, not in just a flip everybody off, but like be able to communicate that well. It just speaks so much through your music. You can tell like you're thoughtful, you're educated, like you're observant. Like, where does that come from? I mean, were you a good student? Did you value education? Did you go to college? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah. I definitely valued education. I really didn't have a choice. I was not a good student, though. I was a terrible student, but not studious at all. After middle school, especially, like C's and D's and F's were showing up on my grade cards, mostly because I just didn't see the point in what I was learning. So that's a whole different topic that I'll talk about later about education. So education was always a big part of my family. Like my dad forced me to read several books a summer. I read the Bible every time we went to Butler, Missouri for the whole time. And then this is the King James version of the Bible, by the way. And then I would have to paraphrase every single verse. And then after the verse, I'd have to like explain what the chapter was about. So lots of words that I didn't know. And my dad has a pretty good vocabulary. So either he would make me look it up in the dictionary if he didn't know the word, or like sometimes he would just randomly, he know the word, but he wanted me to guess or try to figure out what it is, like just from phonetics and stuff like that.
Did anyone ever tell you though? This is the most frustrating thing because I'm a horrible speller.
Yeah,
like if you didn't know how to spell something, they'd say look it up in the dictionary.
Oh God!
And I'm like,
yeah,
come on, look it up.
Yeah, I guess that's what's supposed to make you a better speller.
Well, so the problem is though is sometimes I spell things so wrong, like T9 correction, like autocorrect is like. Yeah. No suggestion available. Yeah, because it's so wrong. And so, I used to get so mad at teachers.
I know.
But it's interesting you say that. So I'm not trying to speak over you, but like I was a horrible student. Partially because we moved around so much and, just poverty, you're thinking about what you're going to eat at night. You're not doing your homework.
Exactly.
And, but when I became a Christian or like started going to church when I was 16, reading the Bible, and I just like forced myself to read. And I'm not saying that hey, if you struggle at reading, read the Bible, but I'm saying like having some kind of motivation. Like I just say like a good education, good reading habits are like super important. And now I love to read, and I'm still not I'm still a horrible speller, but it's like just kind of that like, dude, you gotta read.
Exactly. Reading was very important to everything that I did. Writing too.
So what do you remember? So did you go to college?
I did, yeah. I bounced around. I started going to UCM for music tech. I've changed my major like 15 times. Okay, wound up at UMKC though. Didn't finish.
Okay. And so at UMKC, I did know. Did you ever do anything musically at UMKC?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, not as far as like a music program. I studied urban studies there, but I did do a song for the athletic department. Did a music video for that.
Oh, you did?
Too. Yeah. Yeah, and they still play the song at the basketball games and stuff.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So what do you remember the first time so I remember 5th grade, to become student council president. So do you remember the first time you performed something that you had wrote, or
yes.
Was it to your mom?
Probably. She actually used to force me to do, so every year we used to go to what's called the National Bar Association, and that was kind of our vacation. We would drive to wherever it was because my dad, like I said, was a lawyer, private practice lawyer.
Lawyer and a preacher. Did you ever win an argument with him?
Hell no. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse, but no. To this day, I've never won an argument with him.
That just seems like, gosh, that is over.
Yeah, that never happened.
But so sorry, you're going on vacation and
yeah. So that week, my dad treated the convention as our kind of family vacation. We would add on different historical sites, or just anywhere. Like we would find nature and kind of check that out. And so we drive around a lot. So my mom would force me to be a part of the convention that was for kids, and I think it was called like Youth Achievers. And so part of the deal was like anybody that was in a Youth Achievers had to perform or do something at the breakfast, the Youth Achievers breakfast. And my mom would always sign me up to do something, and I never really agreed to do it, but I had to do it. So that's where I really got my my stage fright like just went out the window because I was forced to do that so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time, you got paid to perform?
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, yes, I do. And it was like $2. It was like $10, you know. As far as like outside of just getting what I get from the door, yeah. You know, a lot of that started to happen when I formed the Fantastics almost 10 years ago. And a lot of it's come from that union. So
Wow, that's so interesting you say that, because I thought the Fantastics were like the new thing. No, okay,
yeah,
wow,
they've been around.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, before we jump into that, you know, just kind of last question in my mind is like, you've been at this for a long time. Like I can tell, like, I mean, your performance starts at a young age. You're kind of moving up.
Yeah.
You fall in love. You get married. You have
Right.
kids. Like, man, how are you juggling all these things as a rapper, as a father, a husband, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, did some things struggle at certain times, or?
Yeah, definitely. So after I stopped going to college, I had several different jobs. Like my wife makes fun of me because it's like every week I'm like, yeah, I used to work there, and she's like, of course you did. So yeah, I basically did whatever it took to allow me to do music still. At some point, I stopped chasing after this idea of what was success, because a lot of people told me what it was, and I kind of believed them, and they kind of told me what I was. And so at some point, I was like, why am I doing that?
And do you mean from professional or musical?
Professional.
Okay.
Yeah. They saw my music as more of a creative, like, hobby. And I didn't want it to necessarily be that. I never wanted to be restricted to music, but I know that that's what I'm best at right now.
Well, and talk about that for a second. I mean, what were people trying to push you towards? Because I mean, you were saying you were going for urban development.
Yeah.
Was it kind of in that?
Well, that was the first time I actually made my own decision to pursue something pursue higher education after high school. I went to UCM and studied music tech there for about a semester. Hated it because it was like too musical, you know, like I'm much more than just music. And so I didn't want to sit up in a studio and be cooped up recording people all day. Like that just didn't sound great to me. So I stopped doing music tech, and I've always had a love of theater. So I went to theater and studied that at UCM for a semester. And UCM was not right for me because, like, I'm 18. I just started drinking, basically, and, like, partying. So me being out there in Warrensburg, like, by myself, partying just wasn't going to work. So I decided to move back to KC and go to MKC.
Yeah. And so, sorry. So how do you meet your wife?
Mm-hmm.
How?
That's what we were talking about. Yeah. So she came about several years after I kind of made the conscious decision to pursue music and whatever that looked like for me. For a lot of people, like, pursuing music is like moving to LA or moving to New York or whatever, Atlanta, any other bigger scene that has a more established, like, pathway to musician success. I've always wanted to stay in Kansas City and or at least have some type of footing here. And that's the reason why I actually went to UCM instead of Howard, which is where my dad wanted me to go in DC. But coming back to that, so I wanted to stay in Kansas City. And before I met my wife, I was in a music group called COA, Center of Attention. That's what was with Kyle James and my friend Heather Faye, who we're still friends to this day. Kyle and I are still friends to this day too, but he moved to LA. So I stayed in Kansas City, and then one thing led to another, and Tech Nine was kind of following us after a while. In fact, we got a song with him called Bender Remix, where he was very, very supportive of what we were doing. We were going to studio sessions. We were going to video shoots. We were hanging out. We were doing all kind of stuff with Tech.
He's such an interesting person. I have my own opinions on him. Mm-hmm. Why are you laughing, Aaron? You guys can't see Aaron in the background just laughing. But No, so funny fact about him, when I think about him, I'm like, this dude is so driven.
Yeah.
Because he's been around for like 24 years or something,
wow,
forever,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And like he's always been so huge in Kansas City, but like it seems like there's just pockets around America that like will be big fans, and it just seemed like such a talented person that never to the big eye like made it or blew. Like I almost feel like if he would have been around today, it might have been easier for him to blow up.
Right. He set the path for a lot of people.
And so you need those people, and you're thankful for those people, and they might not get nationally the credit they deserve. But I remember my first concert I ever went to was the Mystical Shake Your Ass tour.
Okay, nice.
Mystical, Trick Daddy, and Trina. So here's Mystical, Trick Daddy, and Trina. Yeah. Me and two buddies, we buy tickets. We are in the very back row basically, and we just kind of push our way because like as soon as the lights go off, like everybody stands up. You gotta go to front. Yeah. So long story short, dude, I eventually get to the front, like the front, holding onto the guardrail. There's the stage. Nice, Love Trina, had a huge crush on her. And Mystical was crazy late, super late. And we're waiting, and people are starting to boo. And they're like, yo, KC, we got a special guest for you. And Maurice Green came out, Olympic gold medalist.
You're bringing me back, dude.
Yeah, right? Comes out, and everybody starts cheering. And, he's just awesome dude. And he goes, oh, no, I'm not the special guest. He is. And it's like, let's get and Tech 9 came out, and that's dude, crazy. The freaking roof just like, I thought I was going to die. Wow. It was exciting. I was 15.
Yeah.
Like, it was classic. But it was like, I've never, even at Arrowhead, I don't think I felt so concussed by like place just exploding.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome.
That had to have been awesome for you.
It was a dream come true. Tech was definitely, or is one of my, like, as far as rappers are concerned, definitely one of my biggest influences. So it was crazy to see an idol turn friend, and we're still friends. So.
And so stop for a second, and if you could rewind time and be like what Tech said to you, if you could speak to a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old that's kind of getting told, hey, man, when you graduate, of course you got to go to college. You got to do these things. This is your path for you. Yeah. But deep down, they're like, I know I want to do this. Like, what would you have said to you or to them right now? Do you know?
Yeah, I would probably say, like, specialize in something, even if whatever that looks like for you, like be the best at what like you do best, like become like find your own little niche or little lane and just stick with that. And so one of the things that that Quincy Jones passed down to Tech 9 was a quote, and it was I forget the quote exactly, but I think it's
you got it.
Yeah,
dig deep.
I think it's be yourself and people will forever feel you, or something like that. And so that, like, I've just heard Tech say that in interviews like time and time again. That definitely stuck with me, because I knew that, a black dude with spiked hair with like, on a crucifix with, angel broken wings and shit, like that's not, gonna fly in a lot of places, but he still was himself. And so I thought that was really cool that he like just was like, hey, if you don't like it, that's just how it's gonna be. Like, I know that I'm good. I know that whatever. Like, so that's something that I would definitely pass down to people, to younger generations of people that are trying to come up, is be comfortable, like, in your own skin, and don't be blind to the opportunities that are where you are in your current place.
That's so interesting to me, because like, so I always say to people now, like, I know about more than I know. And so I don't know who Soulja Boy is. Okay, right? Like, I have no idea who that is. I'm always listen to me, I'm always super behind the times when it comes to music, except for you. You're the only person I know about that's like, but I, like, for example, I just literally, what was it, Matt? Less than a year ago, I was like, what's the big deal with Kanye West? Yeah. And so I started listening to all his music. Okay. Well, then I kind of fall in love with his old stuff, right?
Right, yeah.
In the midst of me, like, going, man, this guy's really good, the whole fiasco happens, and I'm talking well about him, and I'm like, wait, okay, guilt by association here, what's going on? Yeah. But so I was listening to somebody say that Soulja Boy, and you probably know more, but he kind of always was just morphing to whatever's popular. So whatever song, like genre was hitting at the time, he would just kind of make songs like that. Sure. And to where when authenticity kind of became the key thing, he didn't know where to go. And that's why he's kind of fallen off. I think it was that Killer Mike was talking about
Killer
that.
Mike.
Yeah. In an interview, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, but anyways.
I mean, I think, and not to dive too much into Soulja Boy, but I think when he first came out, I was like, oh, this is terrible. But now that I'm thinking about it, now that I look back and see how many people he actually influenced, it's kind of ridiculous. It's almost everybody that's popular that's like, especially that the younger generation listens to, like Soulja Boy kind of was, almost as impactful as like a Drake or, somebody like that. So,
how impactful would you say Lil Wayne is?
Very impactful. I mean, Lil Wayne was hit after hit,
The only reason I joke about that and I look at Matt is because Matt always talks so well about him, and I've never listened to him. And
really?
So literally like 2 months ago, I started listening to him, and I just make fun of him all the time, and now I'm kind of hooked.
Yeah, I was gonna say Lil Wayne is like one of the few examples of a child turned like adult that crossed over and still maintained, if not grew in popularity.
Well, and that's where you almost say to these guys that want to be a rapper and they're young, 13, 18, whatever. It's like, slow down, calm down. I mean, you were born in 87, so what, you're like 30? Yeah, 32. I mean, it's like, hey, this is a long race.
Yeah.
And you don't have to hit when you're super young.
Nowadays, now hip hop is so much older than it used to be. Now, like, where, Tech Nine was considered old like 10 years ago. Now it's like, well, Dr. Dre's pushing 50, so there's room for the OGs too, especially if they find ways to keep innovating.
So now let's get to Kemet the Phantom, or your musical career. Because I was talking about, I know we've been talking about it, but I looked up on your Wikipedia, did you write your own Wikipedia page?
I did not write my own Wikipedia page.
I don't even know.
I want to know how to do it. Like I just been too lazy.
It is a little weak, and it was a little depressing.
Oh,
it is.
God.
No,
Somebody
it
please
is.
fix that.
Well, so I've never talked to somebody where I thought they probably have a Wikipedia page. I should look them up. Absolutely. And so I did it because I didn't know your last name.
Okay.
I just knew you as Kemet the Phantom, right?
Yeah,
so I was like Kemet Coleman. But then it said most notably, is known for collabing with Kyle James, which I find out is Mayor Sly James's son. Yep. But I like got a little pissed. I was like, wait a second, that's not why he's most notable. And I'm thinking about all the songs I love now. And quickly it said one of the most notable things was the Streetcar song that you made. How did that happen?
Well, so just going back to childhood, just really quickly, briefly, I've kind of always been an urbanist, and that's just someone that is fascinated with the built environment and humans interacting with it. So that could be anything. I'm just fascinated in general with like buildings, real estate, development, how all that wraps up in the way that we enjoy and live and suffer through life, and all of that. So I'm a huge fan of public transit, mostly because I think that it's a great way to level the playing field as far as breaking down barriers for people to interact with each other. When we're in vehicles, we compete heavily. We only have one voice, and that's it. But if you're walking down the street, you can actually use your voice, and you can do all kind of other subtle things that is not so sociopathic. And so I think that public transit is what Kansas City is. One of the main things we're missing a lot of. And so I think it was my civic duty to do something, whatever I could, to promote something that was hopefully going to connect people to this giant, geographically vast, sprawling city. So
so it's funny. I have family that lives in Baltimore. Anytime I go there, and I was born in Chicago, love taking the train, love taking the subway, any kind of thing like that. And so the streetcar isn't that, but it's close. It's a step. It's a step. It's a start. You're right. And if there's any way to get that further out in all directions, I absolutely love it. But so did they reach out to you, or did the connection with Kyle kind of help that?
So that came about. I happen to be Facebook friends. I don't know how. Probably just through my urbanist stuff with a guy who was on the board of the KC Streetcar Authority, and so I just messaged him and saw this was before any it got finished. Basically, I reached out to him and said, "Hey, I'm a musician. Fascinated with and supporting of public transit, just in general. Want to do whatever I can to help promote it and stuff like that." And he was just totally on board with whatever ideas I came up with. So I told him, I was like, "Hey, I want to do a music video. I'd like to do it on the streetcar. I can make a streetcar song, or I can make a cool song that could be like for the streetcar." And he was like, "Hey, just do whatever's cool." I was like, "All right, well, I'll do something cool." So yeah, that just came about like that, really. And the song wasn't created when I pitched the idea to them, but I created it after he kind of gave me some parameters.
Did you feel more stress on that? Have you been commissioned? Well, you said UMKC, right?
Yeah.
So there've been multiple times that you've been kind of.
So those, for the most part, so the UMKC thing came about as another, because I was just so pissed off that, like, you know, there was a billboard, and I've got nothing against KU or MU, like, I you know, whatever, but it said, like, Kansas City's University, and I was like, man, you guys are based in a different town, like, not even close to Kansas City. I mean, you are, but it's not Kansas City. And so I was like, you know what, let me do something for UMKC just to get, like, at least the athletic department out there. And a lot of people don't know that UMKC has a Division I basketball team. And so, you know, it's obviously not as historically successful, but.
Were you there when Tim Blackwell was there?
I don't think so.
No, he's a basketball player from Cameron that went there. Really good basketball player for Cameron. I don't know if he was good at UMKC.
Honestly, like, I had never really been to a UMKC basketball game. I was just like, this needs to be out there. So I did. Really, it was at the time Black and Yellow came out by Wiz Khalifa, and everybody started doing remixes. Like my friend Irv the Phenom did one for the Chiefs. Actually, like 3 or 4 people did one for the Chiefs. And I was like, you know, I'm not going to do the Chiefs. I'm not going to do the Royals. I'll do UMKC. And so I did that, and UMKC, they just, like, ate it alive. The athletic department, they just embraced it fully. In fact, I think there was, like, a Chiefs game. UMKC had a commercial, and they played the song on the commercial during the Chiefs game. So that was huge. I was like, holy crap. Like, I don't know how many people saw that commercial, but.
Yeah. So 2 things. First, UMKC is not a proud sponsor of the Empowered People podcast.
Not yet.
But I do want to do a shout out for the UMKC basketball program, specifically the women's basketball team. And the reason I say that, if you're local area and you want to go see a basketball game, go show some love to the women's UMKC basketball team. I know that the head coach is a huge supporter of Girls on the Run, which, if you haven't already watched that episode where we interviewed Gina of Girls on the Run, she's an amazing woman that is impacting thousands of girls, young, at-risk girls, whatever you want to call them, in positive ways with after-school running programs. So by support of Girls on the Run, I'm going to endorse and say the Empowered People is a sponsor or a promoter of the girls UMKC basketball team. But back to the podcast.
Sure. I've got a question for you. So as an artist or as someone who's more creative, what is it? Do you find yourself excelling in times where you have more restrictions? So like the streetcar had restrictions to be somewhat tied in the streetcar. UMKC had restrictions to be tied into the basketball team. Yeah. Do you find like those restrictions or those parameters allow you to like accomplish things better, or do you like to have kind of just free reign?
You know, I like to have the option of free reign, but for the most part, like, some parameters are much better than having 0 parameters, because I think, even from my own perspective, like, I think I know how much room that I'm working with. I know how, like, loud or how colorful or how whatever I need to be within that box. And then from there, like, it's a clean access to my creativity, basically. I think when you have a whole universe of vastness, like, you know, you just don't know where to focus. It's hard to focus. So yeah, I think having those parameters helps greatly with creativity.
Well, and I think that goes back to what you were saying about what you would say to a young artist is like figure out you and be you.
And specialize, yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, if you're not good at that, then don't do that. Like focus on what you're good at and really develop that. And not that you just ignore your weaknesses.
Yeah.
You can work on them because there's certain levels of competency in all areas.
Absolutely.
If you couldn't keep a beat, that's going to suck.
Right.
You write great lyrics, but you can't keep a beat.
Right.
But so about the parameters, do you put yourself on deadlines?
Yeah,
Like,
you have to. I have to at this point. Yeah, with kids and family and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. Do you find that sleep goes out the window?
I actually make a lot of time for sleep now. I would say the first up until Invisible Man, like every single project I put out was probably made between hours of like midnight and 5 a.m. like every piece of it. But Invisible Man was the first one where I worked on it during the day. Cause I did that when I stayed at home with my three, or she's 4 now. I was staying home dad / musician for a while, for up until 2 years. And so it was kind of that juggle between like taking care of her and doing music. So
Invisible Man is CD number 10.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And you're talking about the Fantastics being formed.
Yes.
Take us back real quick to there.
Yeah,
like,
Fantastic.
When did the Fantastics form?
How
many CDs do they have?
2. We've got 2 CDs. So that actually started almost about 9 years ago, over 9 years ago. And really that came about because a friend of mine now, but back in whenever that was a fan of Kemet the Phantom. He like found me on MySpace and said that he was like, hey, my family's listens to your music like all the time. My kids love it, whatever. And so I was like, wow, that's really cool. It was like really cool to see a whole family like be a fan. That was awesome. So anyway, he was in a band called Stone Deaf, which is more like a prog rock jam band essentially. And I had posted somewhere, I had never worked with a band before, really. And so I had posted that I wanted my album release party for a Christmas album that I came up with to be done with a band. And so he said, hey, I'm working with this band. We actually kind of jam to your song sometimes if you want to just like sit in on a practice. So I sat in on the practice. We had one practice before we did the show because we were last minute. And so we did the show, and dude, I've never, like, people just went crazy. Like they just lit up like crazy. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. So should we do this again? And we did it again, and then we just kept going. So yeah, here we are.
What is that like for you whenever a crowd goes crazy like that? I mean, does that validate you? Does that make you feel good? Or are you able to have self-confidence regardless of the crowd's reaction?
Really, it's for me, it's just making sure, one of my biggest things is just making sure that people are having a good time in general. I like to see smiles on people's faces. I like creating an environment where people can interact with each other. And so that's why I like creating music that's danceable or thought-provoking or people can get around and discuss. So yeah, I think seeing people go crazy that's the Holy Grail.
That's got to feel great.
Yeah.
But I mean, even at the concert at Strange Days Brewing, it was just so weird how it's at a bar. People are conversing. There's food trucks.
Yeah.
There's the band. Like there's all these different things happening.
Yeah.
And you would see them kind of intertwine. Like somebody would go from listening to a song to eating to talking to back, and all these different things to dancing to it was a cool experience. I've never been to a concert like that.
I haven't either. And that's what I've been trying to do lately is create these concerts that I would love to go to.
I mean, it was like what every block party wants to be.
Exactly.
That's not.
Yeah.
Aaron, you got a question?
Yeah, what's up?
You're up, dude. You're
up. So I think a couple of things. One, I want to hear like why music. Like at what point you're like, yep, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
What was like the turning point for you in that? Or made it like such a deep passion you want to pursue it as a career? And then 2, how do you make music a career? Like not like you see, everyone has their friend from hometown trying to be a rapper, right?
Yeah.
It's like a common thing that people talk about and kind of like talk shit on.
Yeah.
So I've got a friend who's like pursuing it, and he's doing really well now and opening for like big name artists, and he's killing it.
Yeah.
But like he's been quiet doing it for like since I was in 8th grade. So I don't know when that was. Like that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But he hasn't talked about it until now, and now he's finally making it. But how do you live from point A to point B where you're like trying to make it? You're so passionate about it, but no one's paying you for it. You're not, quote unquote, good enough yet, or don't have enough traction yet.
Yeah.
So what's that look like to support yourself from that point where you're starting out and you love it to the point of where now it's like feasible and you're paying your bills?
Yeah. So the first question, I had an equal love of basketball and music growing up as a kid. Like my dad would always ask me like, "Hey, what do you want to be when you grow up?" He wanted me to be a lawyer. I never was interested in that, and so I never really had a straight answer because like what I would answer was never acceptable. I could never say I'm a basketball player, or never say I could want to be a musician. So at any rate, I've always had that in my head though. Like I knew I was going to be either one of those. And I was much better at music than I was at basketball. So there was one time I was, I don't know how old I was, just a kid, probably like 11 or 12. And I had this basketball goal on my closet door, one of those like, small goals. And I said, if I miss this shot, then I think I'm probably gonna do music. If I make this shot, then I'm gonna do basketball. But what did I do? I missed the shot. So that's pretty much where things just went towards music after that. Just kind of embraced that, and that was what that was. The second question, though, I had to unlearn a lot of things as far as like what it looked like to be a musician in Kansas City, especially because we don't have the traditional path laid out. There's really not a path. And so kind of going back to what you talk about as far as creativity is concerned, I've wasted several years trying to like force this path that wasn't working because it's just not here in Kansas City. So I have created my own restrictions and have focused and created a niche really, and that is with the Fantastics and also with Kemet the Phantom, focusing more on like the inner mingling of like social justice with urbanism, with good music and culture in general, kind of really showcasing the all of the music that my forefathers were able to produce as slaves and as people that have been marginalized for a long time. And so really kind of throwing that in the box, all in the vein of making people come together, seeing their differences, but really embracing them and saying that these differences are okay. That's a lane that I feel like that I have created for myself that gives me the opportunity to then present to other people and say, this is exactly what I do, and this is exactly what I can do for you. Because at the end of the day, I had to realize that I was also an entrepreneur and not just a musician. And that's really where people get hung up.
And then, like, how do you, so like taking all that too, right? So moving forward, like as you progress and get better and better and better and get more traction and get more notice and you're making it kind of happen.
Yeah.
Like what does practice look like? What projects do you take on? Because for us, it's different, right? Like this is practice for us, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what did you do to like get better at producing, to get better at, telling stories through music? What does that look like for you?
Well, the Fantastics have been great for just being exposed to unlimited amounts of great musicianship from many different instruments that I have no idea how to do myself. So just being exposed to that really challenged me as more so as a vocalist, even though I'm a music producer as well. But as a vocalist, I can be influenced and inspired by different cadences that a horn player might do, or different rhythms of a keyboard player. My keyboard player is like super percussive when he plays. He's like almost like he's beating drums. And so it's nice. Sometimes it's nice to practice and like stay in time and rhythm with him. But yeah, just kind of all of that. And a few years ago, I just forced myself to create every day, no matter what, no matter if it's just like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, just create something every day, even if it's just not music, but because the like muscle that's in your brain like has to be, if you want to be an expert, like you have to exercise it every single day. So that's kind of what I've been doing.
It's so funny that I just listened to a podcast where Lennox Lewis, heavyweight boxing champion of the world, awesome dude, was talking, and someone was like, man, most boxers are not as quick as you. They're kind of slow. And he said, like early on in his career, he just started playing chess, 5 games of chess every single day online. And he's almost like a master status chess player now. Wow. But he's just like the different things, whether it's creative or just working out your brain, that you've got to do.
Totally.
And as you were talking, I was just thinking about, you were talking about blending social justice and all those different aspects into your music. It made me think of, something with Empowered Electric that I was always trying to do is, we're living in this world that's just so just at, wits, and people are just screaming at each other for all these different things. Yeah. And I realized one thing, kind of the quit crying, like one thing I could do about it was build an extremely successful company that didn't judge people based on the color of their skin, like that empowered them through electric opportunity, that looked past those barriers, and like, rather than arguing about whether or not white privilege really exists, if I can use it to my advantage to build a successful company that then empowers people, then I'm doing my part. And like, I mean, I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back, but I just see someone like you that's like using that thing to like do it. It's inspiring to me as a white construction guy, you know what I mean? Which those boundaries and those lines, I mean, you can just cross, which I think you've done amazing.
Well, I think that's one of the beauties of Empowered, really. It's like, it's an electric company, construction, but you're inviting in artists, and, you're inviting in other people that are doing cool stuff in the community. Like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And it's just, so even at Empowered Electric, and correct me if I'm wrong, but so as you keep talking about your dad being a lawyer and a preacher, I almost see like work and passion, and one can sometimes fuel the other until it switches. Right. And so like work as a lawyer, make money so that I can drive an hour away and preach to this congregation that don't pay me probably very well, but I'm able to do that because of this. Right. And kind of like Aaron was saying, like a lot of people, man, maybe it is working a job and then writing from midnight till 5 a.m. Exactly, maybe it is like living with 5 people. Gary Vee, that guy, he's always like, you should live with 5 other roommates and like do all these things, and like, but just you lower your expenses so that your work can fuel your passion. Right. And like, when is that tipping point happen for you where you were able to not work a 9 to 5 and then create from midnight till 5? I mean, when did that happen? Recently, probably maybe a year ago. I just completely just separated from any type of side gig. I mean, there had been times when I had like long 6-month stretches where it's just like music, and vice versa. But about a year ago, I said I'm not going to go back. So I love that you just called it your side gig, right? Because to be completely honest, so Aaron and Brett with Intrepid Creative have been working at Apple for the most of the time up until now, basically 9 to 5, whatever you want to call it, to pay their bills. And then Intrepid Creative was, the time after that. Okay. And they would always refer to Intrepid as their full-time gig and Apple as their side hustle. Yeah. And kind of, and while like it's just a difference of opinion, I'm like, man, is that your side hustle, or should you just jump all in? Like, kind of hearing that. Yeah. But that's kind of the attitude that you had. Yeah. Even if it was like the job that was the only job that was paying you, that was paying all your bills, you're like, that's my side gig. Right. Yeah. I think that's a great attitude. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it really is just staying focused to what you are meant to be doing on earth. Like everybody should find that, and then do whatever it takes to help you get to where you can just do that. Yeah. And for someone like me, it was quitting. Literally quitting with 5 weeks paid vacation and like, let's make this work. Yeah. Got 5 weeks to figure it out. Yeah.
to other people, it's, 3 years working at Apple or working 10 years while you're, CD after CD. So for everybody's career path, it looks different, but the vision has to be clear.
Definitely. I mean, for me, it was, I could tell, and my employers could tell that I was meant for something else. And so that looked like a lot of different things, like whether that's like, I mean, I used to work at P.F. Chang's in back waiting, and so my
their lettuce wraps are phenomenal.
They're fire, yeah, they're very fire. I still go back to P.F. Chang's, by the way. We're in good terms, even though I left. But so anyway, my boss at the time, my manager, was like, he's like, you're one of the best. You're probably the best back waiter we've had ever. And I was like, oh my God, I'm the best back waiter? What am I doing here? I gotta go. So like at my lunch break, I left and never went back.
So what's hilarious, so literally you can go back and listen to the Hy-Vee story where I work my butt off so hard, I become the youngest at the Liberty Hy-Vee, the youngest full-time employee to get benefits and vacation and stuff.
Yeah.
2 weeks after they give me full-time, I quit.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait a second.
This isn't right.
I mean, I don't want this.
I wasn't supposed to be the best here. It's supposed to just be the side
So
gig.
as the Fantastics are kind of happening and Kemet the Phantom is going, I don't know if you've listened to Eminem's new album, Kamikaze, but he's got a song called Stepping Stones where he kind of talks about D12 and how he never meant for them to be stepping stones, because he's kind of the only one that blew.
Yeah.
Has there ever been any kind of to weirdness with the Fantastics and Kemet the Phantom devoting enough energy? Because you just said 2 albums with the Fantastics,
right.
10.
Yeah.
How has that worked as a solo artist and also in a group?
It's more like a binary relationship, really. They're very symbiotic because the Fantastics, we do a lot of performing. Not a lot as far as like touring acts, but for a Kansas City band, we do a lot of gigs. But Kemet the Phantom, I've always kind of more saved those for more less. I accept less. I say no more often for Kemet the Phantom because it's like I have a certain level that I need to meet as far as what I'm getting paid, and a lot of times when people approach me to do gigs, my solo act, I can't say yes because like the time, like I need to spend that making like another event from the ground up or something. That is more, financially there. So Kemet the Phantom is more like a background thing that I do, like for my own personal thing and that I share for everybody. And I have most recently, last like couple years, especially with The Invisible Man, I've definitely ramped that up a little bit more, mostly because I feel like I'm finally comfortable with the music that I'm putting out. I feel like it's reflective of me more than the stuff from the past, and so now I'm kind of mixing. I'm kind of mixing both now, especially because the Fantastics have gotten to a point musically where we can start doing a lot more Kemet the Phantom stuff. Whereas before, with different members, the band has different sounds. And so I never wanted to contaminate the Fantastics with Kemet the Phantom because I know that, with 8 people and people being there for various reasons, like, everybody's not going to be there to be Kemet the Phantom's band, I wanted it to be his own thing. And it's definitely been a nice symbiotic relationship.
No, that's super interesting. Man, I feel like I've said that super interesting way too much this episode. Matt, you're supposed to call me out whenever I say things. But dude, so every time I say it, that's super interesting. It's like my way of wanting to say, dude, I love everything you're saying.
Nice.
Like it's just, I'm trying not to fanboy and ask for your autograph on a hat whenever you leave.
Hey,
I'm trying
my
super
daughter
hard
does not
to
like
do
my
that.
music, so thank you. She's like, I don't like that. All right, whatever.
Well, your wife likes it.
Yeah, she likes it.
And so, so it was super interesting for me. Gosh, dang it. Said it again.
Yeah.
When I started Empowered Electric, my wife actually helped me come up with the name. So actually I want to hear where the Phantom came from.
Okay.
But she helped me come up with Empowered Electric, and I knew immediately I didn't want it to be Levin Electric, JL Electric.
Yeah,
JBL kind of worked, right? But I figured I'd get sued for trademark or something.
Yeah. They do electric.
But I knew it wanted to be bigger than me, but I knew that I wanted something like this to exist. So like even when Empowered Electric started, it was all about empowering people through electric opportunity, empowering people to break the cycle of poverty, addiction, and self-defeat by learning kick-ass electric work. That was day one. That's what awesome. I wanted. And I mean, I don't know if you know, I don't know if I've even been able to tell you, like it came from me speaking at a juvie hall.
Yes, we talked about that.
So once again, work and passion. My work is I'm a master electrician. Yeah. I know how to teach people how to run electrical work. One of our best foremen, Andrew Tompkins, was an apprentice with me when I was a journeyman, and he's kind of followed me. Yeah. The same thing with Sam. Like there's been some great things with that. And I knew like, this is what I want to do. But whenever I would answer the question, like, do I want to be the day-to-day running the electric company my whole life?
Yeah.
It wasn't so much what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do is get people to believe that they could be a for-profit company with a nonprofit heartbeat, that they could be so much more than what society or statistics or culture tells them they are. And that also could be you can be an amazing, caring company and still make a profit. Definitely. And so almost Empowered Electric was a case study of showing this can be done. Yeah. And like it's being done. And so whenever you're talking about Kemet the Phantom and the Fantastics, I'm also hearing people used to always tell me when I started out, man, you got to work on that personal brand. You got to work on that personal brand. Right. And while I agreed with it, I never wanted to do it at the expense of Empowered Electric. It was like Empowered Electric first, Josh / the empowered people, and what I'm trying to do now with the help of amazing people. And so it was like, I love this, but this is the boat that a lot of people have like put their belongings and their families on. I'm not letting it go away. And so
pretty much that first night when when we performed, I saw the power of just that group. And so I'd never seen that in any of my solo shows ever. And so I was like, wow, this is something magical here. And so I never wanted to mess what that was up until it was the right time. Now I think it's the right time.
So what's some future things for both?
Yeah, so future for Kemet the Phantom is I'm working on an album, and it's called Electric Park.
Ooh.
Ironically.
It was destined to be.
Yes. So, yeah, it's called Electric Park.
You text me that, and you're like, hey, not to be awkward, but.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you'd be like, what? That's crazy.
So I don't have an affinity as much to the word electric, but anytime someone says empowered, I'm like, like arrogantly enough, like I own that word. Like, what? Who's using that?
Yeah,
empowered women. What?
I see.
Empowered electric. Like
completely separate.
The reason I say empowered women was because Casey Mom's blog just had an event called Empowered Women.
Oh,
so I mean, it's not. But my wife used to write for them, so that's why I follow them. Yeah, and sometimes they have good cooking recipes. Shut up.
Hey, I like cooking recipes.
But so where did the Phantom come from? Time out. Yeah. Go back. Where did the Phantom come from?
The Phantom came from my theater days back in high school, actually. And I guess for me, like, I grew up more so like as a shy person, and definitely like was more comfortable kind of behind the scenes. And so I liked the idea of a phantom because it was like, hey, I'm here or I'm not here, or like, whatever, I could, you could be, I could just do and be whatever at any given time. So I originally just went by the Phantom. Never really embraced my first name up until like 25 years old, mostly because people just never said it right, or they spelled it wrong, or they called me Kermit or made fun of me and stuff like that. So I was always like, I'm not going to use my first name. So the Phantom was just like something that really resonated with me, and I had always had words just get stuck in my head, even to this day, just words that I'm like, what does that word mean? Why is it in my head? So I just like look it up, and then Phantom was just in my head one day, and I just looked it up. I was like, oh, that's pretty perfect. So that's where it came from.
That's hilarious. That's almost the same as Intrepid Creative. Literally, like brainstorming in a class about being fearless, being adventurous, all that kind of stuff. Looked up in a thesaurus, Intrepid Creative. No, it's just, it's beautiful. Look up words. Man, but I don't know if we said this at the beginning of the thing, like me being a bad speller, getting told to look up words in a dictionary. That's some bull crap.
We did talk about this.
Now I learned, I got that little MacBook Pro with the little Siri button, and I can be like, Siri, electrician, because I can't spell electrician half the time either.
I cannot spell restaurant.
Restaurant.
Dude, that's a tough one.
Yeah, and I freaking filled out this form and posted on Instagram, and immediately the fastest text message I get is when I post something with a misspelled word. My wife is like on it.
I know.
Because she's like a grammar freak.
Yeah.
She's like, you missed a comma there. You said and 7 times in one sentence.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wasn't done. I kept saying and.
Yeah, spouses are great.
So Electric Park.
Electric Park, yeah. So this album is actually one of the first albums where I'm not going to produce the entire album. Most of the time, and for the exception of The Fantasy, which was produced by Scotty Wu, I had produced 99% of the beats. This one, I'm probably going to do about half as far as like my own production, but I'm working with another guy named Leonard Destroy, who produced several legendary Kansas City rappers, including Seth's Crew, who signed with Strange Music. And anyway, he's looking to produce the album that got Seth's Crew signed to Strange Music, and I'm looking for the album to really just like take me up to the next level. And so definitely a mutual relationship there. And he's just a solid dude. And before like we started working on this project, he has always been my favorite Kansas City producer, hands down. So it's pretty cool to be able to do that. And so we've got about 6 or 7 songs now, some of which I start and then I'll send it to him because he's a sonic genius, like sonically music, like just he can create an environment or like orally as far as like the ears. And I am good at that, but I don't like to do it as much as he does. So staying in your lane, you know. So that's where he does a lot of that stuff. And so he's doing that, and that's going to be out probably in the summer. It's called Electric Park, and the title is it's based on and inspired by the actual electric park that existed in Kansas City twice, actually. It's, you know, back in the turn of the century, and it ultimately wound up being on like 50th and Paseo, but it's what inspired Disney World, because, you know, Walt Disney is from here.
Which so. I love that area. It's pretty run down right now.
Well,
right?
yeah. Well, the park is obviously not there. I'm not sure what's there now. I can't even think of what's there now. But the park had everything. It had like a crap ton of lights from, you know, this was back before when the light bulb was basically like maybe 30 years old. And so so like it had like alligators, it had like all kind of like really crazy stuff happening in KC. So that's cool. Yeah. Might need to bring it back.
Sorry, yeah, bring it back.
Yeah. So actually, the funny part about this album is, instead of having an album release party, I'm gonna have an album release festival called Electric Park. So that's
you might need to look for some sponsors on that.
I might have to. I'm definitely gonna have to look for some sponsors. I'll probably start small like this time and go up from there.
Yeah, no, that's extremely exciting. So 2-part question. Mm-hmm. So you're saying, you know, a lot of people, of course, that grow up in the Midwest are like, F this place, I'm getting out of here, which I honestly did a little walkabout around the country and then kind of realized like this is where I want it to be. Mm-hmm. You're kind of saying that Walt Disney bails.
Sure.
When you say you want this album to take you to the next level, what does the next level look like for you? And is it still always in Kansas City? Really,
I just want to create more opportunities for musicians to sustain themselves here in town, and also like to elevate the Kansas City art scene in general. You know, I think this city is obviously my favorite, and I love it, and I think other people are starting to get on board. It wasn't always that easy to love KC, but a lot of cool stuff is happening, and so when I say take it to the next level, I mean take KC to the next level. Really show to the world, show the country, whoever, that the city has some really cool stuff happening.
Yeah, no, I love it. So, hey, so what if for the listeners right now, how can they follow along? What can they pay attention to? How do they show love and support for Kemet the Phantom?
Yeah, I would look me up on Instagram. That's primarily where I'm like doing most of the action online. I pretty much just post really selfish stuff on Facebook now. It's like, hey, I'm performing here. I really don't get on there anymore. So Instagram, and my name is Kemet the Phantom on Instagram. KemetThePhantom. You'll have to look that up.
We will put that in the show notes.
Thank you very much.
You're on it.
But yeah, also follow the Fantastics, because you really can't see me without seeing them for the most part. And that is, on Instagram, is just the _Fantastics.
No, so I loved watching them. I had a hard time finding them on Spotify or on Apple Music.
Right.
Those 2 albums.
Yeah.
Where are those?
So
found?
we have gone through some different changes, different stages in our band's career. And one of the hardest things for us to do, for us to have done really, is get in the studio. We would rather just be in front of people and performing and making sure that people have a good time. So we don't really have a lot of body of work out there. We're working on that now, though. So we are trying to set up a situation where our practice space is basically also a studio. And there's a couple situations where we can do that. And I think at that point, we'll just, just start recording almost everything. And then, I can take it to my house and my home studio and add my own flavor, or we can leave it like that. So really it's all going to be mixed up here in a little bit. Like it'll start sounding like basically what Black Thought is to the Roots, Black Thought has his own thing, but he's definitely hardcore the Roots.
I'm so glad you said that, because literally whenever I saw you guys setting up, so it's funny, you guys have heard me say like I don't spend money on dumb crap. I want to protect my money at all the time. Literally when you reached out and said, hey, do you want to sponsor this concert? I was like, absolutely. And I thought I was sponsoring you, and I show up and I'm sponsoring the Fantastics, and I'm like, what is this? And immediately when you start playing, I'm like, this is kind of like the Roots.
Yeah.
That was kind of my initial feel. And I didn't know if
Nice.
that was like, well, I didn't know. You never know when someone says you're kind of like, because sometimes people will say to me like, you're kind of like a motivational speaker. Or recently somebody said they watched that Fire Netflix documentary, and they're like, you kind of remind me of that guy, just amped up. And I'm like, that guy's a sleazeball that like steals everybody's money.
That's not good.
But they just meant like the energy level and the excitement and stuff. So I'll take that. But you never know if somebody could mean something as a compliment. You're like, dude, I hate the Roots. They're the biggest sellout, and you just have like this big thing.
Yeah.
But no, I absolutely loved it. So guys, if you have the opportunity to go to any live show that the Fantastics are playing at, I would highly recommend it. It was an amazing time. You're an amazing artist. Guys, whether you're a dreamer, achiever, entrepreneur, musician, whether you're freaking 8, 15, 16, 42 years old, I really hope that you kind of realize that everyone's path to success, everyone's path to creativity and passion might look a little different, but the similarities are what you're meant here to do, and you got to go all in on that. And whether that looks like burning the ships or whatever it is, whether it's, quitting with 5 weeks paid vacation or the slow burn, guys, you've got to get out there and try and figure it out and just work. I mean, that's what I've heard you do. And if you need extra motivation, you're working midnight till 5 o'clock in the morning on bids or graphic design or editing videos, and you need some music to keep you up, Kemet the Phantom, quit crying, best dapper alive. Thanks a ton for listening. Thanks a ton for being here, dude.
Happy to be here.